Hello, good evening. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. This is Nation Wants to Know and I'm Hina Gambhir. Viewers, on November 8, 2016, citizens across India were told that their 500 rupee notes and 1000 rupee notes would cease to be legal tender. Most of you would remember how citizens across India, including you, were rushing to banks and ATMs to get their 500 and 1000 rupee notes deposited, because back then citizens across India were heavily dependent on cash for their daily needs, daily transactions. Today, that is not the case, simply because demonetization exercise also taught the country how to rely on digital payments when cash is unavailable. And another event that expedited this entire process was COVID-19 in the year 2020. It accelerated our adoption of digital payment system. Today, India processes an average of around 660 million to 790 million UPI transactions per day. But what if those same digital transactions, digital payments start coming at a cost? Well, that's the question that's being posed before the government today. The Lok Sabha has passed a bill that amends the Payment and Settlement Systems Act of 2007. Among the slew of changes that it introduces, this new act scraps Section 10A, which currently imposes a ban on MDR. What is MDR? It is Merchant Discount Rate. What this essentially means is that now UPI payments can have an additional rate, which will be merchant discount rate. It used to exist before 2020. Then in 2020, it was removed completely. What exactly does this mean? Well, a merchant discount rate is a fee that is charged for processing a digital payment. This is an amount that is charged every time a customer pays a merchant. But this cost is traditionally borne by the merchant itself and not the customer. This fee then goes into digital payment ecosystem, which essentially helps banks and payment infrastructure fund itself. This is the same payment that every merchant is also charged for every card transaction, be it credit card, debit card. A lot of times you all must have heard, the vendors or the places from where you shop that if you use your credit card, then you will be charged 2 or 3% extra. But that extra amount is not charged if you're paying via UPI or even your debit card, or if you're paying by cash. Now, the new amendment facilitates such charges to be imposed on UPI payments as well. However, this has sparked a political war of words here in India. Congress party says costs that will be added as merchant discount rate will eventually be passed on to the customer itself. The opposition says BJP government is going against the interest of both the traders as well as the common man. Senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh has also questioned the new bill, as he says merchant discount rate would be ultimately borne by the people. Further, Jairam Ramesh also injected a Donald Trump angle into the debate, as he questioned whether this step was also taken at the instructions of US President, only to benefit foreign merchants. Now, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman was quick to counter the Congress leader and the rest of the opposition. The Finance Minister clarified that MDR will not apply to UPI customers. More importantly, a final decision on the MDR has not been taken yet, and the National Payments Corporation of India is yet to decide on MDR. This charge is for merchants. It's not for customers like you and me. That was the point that she was trying to make. She says this will only help banks further invest in improvement of digital payment infrastructure in the country. So the question really is, who will eventually foot the bill as the government endeavors to bolster the digital payment infrastructure? Is it the merchant, or will it be the Aam Aadmi? Will the merchant not pass on this extra cost to the consumer? We don't know. That's the question that's being asked. And also, is there actually some kind of a Trump factor as far as this new bill is concerned? That's something that we are going to be discussing on Nation Wants to Know this evening. Before I open up this debate, listen in to the political reactions.
आज तक कोई ऐसा इस साल कानून बना है जो जनता के लाभ के लिए बना हो? सिवा लूटने के लिए किसी ने, अरे आप इतने से ज़्यादा पैसा निकालोगे तो आपके पैसा कट जाते कि नहीं कट जाते? ये तो काम ही ऐसा कर रहे हैं। कोई काम ऐसा नहीं कर रहे हैं जो कोई प्रोडक्टिव काम हो। सिर्फ लोगों की जेब से पैसा कैसे निकाला जाए और उसको रेवड़ियों के रूप में कैसे बांटा जाए, यही काम है।
Are merchants not citizens of this country? Merchants means they are all our brothers and sisters. No, what a strange statement it is. I would like to say it's a draconian provision, but it is going to affect millions of countrymen. This government was making big claims on digital India payment and all those things, but finally this is the reality. It's a very serious issue, and we will take up this issue in the coming days in the streets.
ये वही भारतीय जनता पार्टी जो डिजिटल इंडिया की बात करती थी, जब डिजिटल लोग पेमेंट करने लगे और डिजिटल हो गए, तब वो अब उन पे टैक्स की बात कर रही। तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी पे कोई भरोसा नहीं कर सकता। आज व्यापारियों के लिए इस तरह के कानून आए, आने वाले समय में जनता के लिए भी आ सकते।
ये जो है ना, सारी गवर्नमेंट जो है सिर्फ लूटने पर लगी हुई है। कैसे आम आदमी की जेब से पैसा निकाला जाए, उसके तरीके रोज नए नए खोजते हैं। ये आम आदमी की जेब से पैसा निकालना है और अपने मित्रों को फायदा पहुंचाना है, बस इसी के एजेंडे पर ये पूरी सरकार है।
Let's now welcome our guests on this debate this evening. We have Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Kishore Subramaniam, who is a financial expert, Rohit Mahajan, CEO, Plutos One, Imran Ahmed Ali, lawyer and political analyst. We also have with us Mithali Nikore, who is an economist. Good evening to all of you. Thank you for joining us here on Times Now. I, for a moment, want you all to become a consumer in this country. Leave your hat of political analyst or national spokesperson aside, just for this first question of mine. I want to begin by asking each one of you just one question, and then we will open up the debate. We will discuss the reasons later, so please listen to my question very carefully. You just have to pick one option, and this question is going to be there for each one of you, okay? And please stick to the rules. Please follow the rules. You have an option. You go to a mall to buy something worth, say, 20,000 rupees. You have an option to pay cash. You will only pay 20,000. You have an option to pay by credit card, which will cost you 2% extra. You have an option to pay by UPI with an additional 0.3%. What will you choose? We will discuss your justification later. Just pick one. Sanju Verma.
I mean, this is a no-brainer. I will choose UPI.
Okay.
And if you want the reasons, the reasons are simple.
Later. Okay. Kishore Subramaniam. UPI. Okay. Imran. Cash. Mithali.
UPI.
Okay. And Rohit.
I say question is wrong.
Question is wrong.
Not paying it. Absolutely, because customer is not paying anything extra in the current scenario.
No. 1 second. Why are you saying the question is wrong?
Because as a customer, I am not going to pay anything extra. Today, I am not paying
No.
anything extra.
I don't know, but it's very normal in this country, and that is why everybody else responded. So would you like to pick one option, Rohit?
UPI.
चलिए, अब मत बोलेगा कि क्वेश्चन सिलेबस से बाहर था. Okay. So, you know, Sanju, the question I asked in the beginning was to actually help people also understand what MDR really is, because it used to exist before 2020, then it was removed because government wanted all of us to, you know, adopt this new system of payment, making payments, digital system, UPI, etc. Now, why do you think it is important? Won't it disincentivize people? For example, out of the 5 of you, Imran decided to pick cash over credit card or over UPI payment.
You know, let's get one thing very clear. On this panel alone, most of us voted for UPI. Imran may have his compulsions, and I'm not getting into what Imran wants to do or does not want to do with his cash. That's his prerogative. But let me get one thing very straight. The fact of the matter is that about, 13 to 14 years back, this is a famous, or should I say infamous, speech by P. Chidambaram on the floor of the parliament saying that a digital revolution in India is absolutely never going to happen. And the Modi government, if it intends to do so in the future, assuming that BJP comes to power, is hallucinating. Today, you go to a revdi wala, you go to a local hawker who's selling groceries, or you go to a golgappe wala, everybody can transact via UPI. So the first point I want to make is that if you really want to see how the benefits of UPI have been democratized. You don't need to look any further because India has now even surpassed in terms of real-time digital payments the United States of America. And I'm getting that into the equation because right from a Kejriwal to a Jairam Ramesh, they've been blabbering that, the Modi government is taking steps to charge user fee based on what Trump wants us to do. That is absolute balderdash because don't forget that today on a daily basis, Visa processes 631 million transactions, MasterCard processes 609 million transactions, and UPI on a daily basis processes more than 697 million transactions. So the other point is we've left the likes of traditional biggies like Visa and MasterCard far behind. And this is a homegrown system that has flourished and thrived under the Modi government, but very quickly. I think finally, Hina, between you, me, and the others on this panel, we are all dictated in terms of two things: user experience and whether a particular platform is cost effective or not. The person-to-person transaction charge is capped under UPI by RBI at, as you rightly said, 0.3%. But now look at what debit cards charge. The normal transaction fees there is between 0.9 to 1.5%.
Right.
And for credit card, the transaction fee is between 1.5 to 3.75%. So even vis-a-vis plastic money, UPI is a far better option.
Okay, UPI definitely is a far better option, and that's the reason why people started using UPI so regularly. And the question, Kishore Subramaniam, today is being asked is, why levy this merchant discount rate? Because even if, say, Imran is a political opponent to Sanju Verma, she may dismiss him choosing cash over UPI or credit card. But if you look at the data here, if 1 person out of 5 will start going towards cash, it will impact government's objectives, don't you think? Here we are just talking about 5 individuals and one chose cash over UPI or credit card. So like Imran, there will be so many other people in this country who will prefer the same option. Will not this thing disincentivize the consumers? And second, won't it impact government's ambitions and objectives vis-a-vis cashless economy and making India, more digital focused economy?
Good evening to all my panelists. My good friend Sanju Verma did talk about UPI. But let me first tell you, India progressed when we moved from UPA to UPI. That's the first reality of this country, because when we moved from UPA to UPI, we progressed, and that was a very good move. So I would add one comment which Sanju made was that not only Digital India, which P. Chidambaram made, they also made that ATA ya data. Today, ATA is got through data. So let's not forget that point. And having said that, one among the, Mr. Imran did say that he would pay cash. It's definitely his prerogative. But if I since I run a fintech company, if I scrape his data, I think he will have enough GPay payments as all of us have here. So forget about that. Let's come to data. If 0.3% is the charge, now this is a hypothetical assumption that if 0.3% is the charge, and let's say I make 1 lakh rupee payment every month, which is 12 lakhs. Now let's say as a financial consultant in 30 years I'm alive. I'm 50 today, let's say I'm alive till 80. That's about 12 into 30, that's about 3.6 crores. What is 0.3% over 30 years? It's insignificant. It just doesn't make sense, because about 3.6 crore, 0.3% is, 1% is 3.6 lakhs. It's less than 1 lakh of rupees for 30 years. So let's not even count on that.
But Kishore Subramaniam, don't you think as Indians, we are all very cost sensitive? We do try and save money wherever it is possible. And it is, across all set of people, all sections of society. We do try and save money, even if it's a penny, like we've been taught since our childhood. Penny saved is penny earned. This is the philosophy that we've all grown up with.
See, I'm a financial consultant. I think I would probably know the best about penny saved versus penny earned. And you're absolutely right in the principle of it.
I'm speaking to you as a consumer. I'm speaking to you as a citizen of this country. This is what most of us have, grown with.
Okay. So by that logic, every time you order on Swiggy, Zepto, Instamart, Blinkit, Amazon, you pay 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees. India is just left, right and center paying. Now, if I charge you 10 rupees for 2,000, while 10 rupees is being charged for one packet of atta, which might be just 120 rupees, India is willing to pay. So we have crossed that. And the reason why we have crossed that is that when in 1991 India was bankrupt, we couldn't afford 10 paisa. But today, that is not the day and age. We are at a per capita income of $2,750, heading towards 12,000 in the next decade.
Okay.
So yes, penny saved is penny earned, but there is a cost versus convenience.
Okay.
Point number 2, the UPI infrastructure, the entire digital payment economy infrastructure costs 10,000 crores. Who
Right.
will foot the bill? You want convenience, you wanted a click of button, everything to happen. But
Right.
I won't, it's not going to happen. Point number 3, let me just complete it. I'll
Okay.
not take more than 30 seconds. India is willing to pay provided there is quality in service and there is safety.
Okay.
Both of them, I think UPI is the world's best. Hats off to it. There are prime ministers of country coming to this country and taking a photo about how 1 cent is spent on UPI. Having said that, you also remember that the subsidy is going down. How long can you not open this up? The payments
Okay.
have to be rectified.
I think
and
you've
it has to be
made
done
some
right.
pertinent points, and let me take those now across to Imran. Imran, how will you like to respond? Because convenience comes at a cost. If you want everything at the click of a button, then you should be ready to pay for it. In fact, even RBI Governor Sanjay Malhotra has said very bluntly, someone has to pay the cost of maintaining this digital payments ecosystem.
Okay. First, I go to the cost component of it. If I were to say that when I pay a credit card bill, I do not pay it on cred because I get a cashback of 10 rupees, I could be paying a credit card bill of 2 lakh rupees. However, I prefer cred because it gives me a 10 rupee. What is 10 rupees? It's insignificant for all of us. However, we all are speaking from a point of privilege. We all are sitting in our comfortable homes in our air conditioners in front of our fancy laptops and saying it. But you are also not taking into account that these UPI transactions today are also a laborer who pays their fees for their student. It could be a pensioner paying for electricity. It could be a pensioner paying for water bill. I mean, UPI now is in every home. Why do we forget that auto drivers also today, you just go to an LPG, one of those CNG pumps, you will see every auto driver paying from a phone. So we are a very different, sample size because we all are speaking from point of privilege. And I agree that it is more convenient, but such like an amendment has to be with a proper discussion. You have to take into account fintech companies, you have to take into account banks, to take into account consumer groups. I mean, at the end, this is not a dictatorship. And Sanjuji spoke about a vegetable vendor. Sanjuji, my only thing is that if you go back exactly 1 year, in Karnataka, there was a vegetable vendor in the Haveri district who got an income tax notice of 29 lakh rupees because the transaction in vegetables, maybe 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 50 rupees, had amounted and crossed 40 lakh rupees.
Okay.
Now you go to Delhi, there are these certain joints where, I won't take names because that would be publicizing them. But they're very famous, maybe from your university days, although you were abroad. Some of us studied in India. And for us, those vegetable vendors were go-to places. You had to go to them, whether it be for momos, for cold coffee. Now, if you see the gross transactions those people have, they are in a couple of lakhs. Now, if you're asking me who bears the cost, did the government not benefit when 85.5, and this is not a percentage made up by me, it was by the RBI which published its report, I think in May this year.
Okay.
85.5 percentage of digital transactions are UPI now.
Right.
So don't tell me that no one's paying for it. Your tax authorities, banks have immensely benefited. And
well,
that
absolutely.
money has come into, yes.
And Rohit, one thing is clear that UPI may be free for users, you, me, and the people, watching us right now, but it isn't really cost-free to operate. There is a cost associated with it.
So let me tell you on the UPI. So we are getting, we have to see the few numbers. So 67% of transactions is less than 2,000 rupees. And
67, I thought more than 95% is below 2,000.
No, 67% is the number.
Okay.
And the benefit, and please understand, when we do a peer-to-peer transaction, there is never going to be any cost. So customer is not going to pay. Second is, when I said merchant, let's take an example, why merchant take the whether it's a cash, whether it's a credit card, or whether it's a UPI, there is something called cash handling. If merchant takes cash, so technically it's more than 1% of money of cash handling. You take the cash, then you deposit it, then you have a separate accounts. In UPI, I am telling you, because we work with NPCI, we understand this economics, and it will never be more than 50 paisa for a 10,000 rupees a transaction.
Okay.
Imagine paying a 50 paisa for a 10,000 rupees of a transaction, even a 2,000
So
rupees.
opposition is making a mountain out of a molehill is what you're trying to say.
Absolutely. See the benefit merchants are going to get it.
Okay.
So, and last point is, when a merchant, even a small merchant who is collecting money through a digital mode, not a cash mode, it means he is tomorrow eligible for lending, insurance, a lot of products.
Okay.
So that is where the success of UPI is. It's not just the payments.
Okay. Mitali, now there is an international dimension also that has emerged. People are talking about the Trump factor, because Trump administration, we all know in the past, has raised questions on India's UPI system. India is one of the few countries that repeatedly targeted for allegedly treating its own payment giants such as Visa, MasterCard unfairly. This is what Trump administration has maintained, that India is one of the few countries that has, that focuses on this free UPI model that is not as good as, America's own card system, which is like Visa, MasterCard, etc. So is there a Trump factor? Is that argument valid, the argument that's also being raised by the opposition?
Thanks, Hina. So just 2-3 quick points before I answer your question. The first point that I want to leave the entire panel with is, why are we talking about the affordability of the subsidies so much? Because when you look at the union budget data for 2026-27, the overall cost of subsidizing this scheme, which is only applicable for transactions less than 2,000 rupees, is approximately 2,000 crores per year. For one full year, it's just 2,000 crores, and it is benefiting the poorest people of the country. So I think the first point is to think about whether, when this ruling comes into place, will the subsidy that is being paid for the poorest of the poor be taken away? I don't think the government has said that at this point in time, but it is important that whatever mechanism we go with, that subsidy should not be taken away. The second point is about the small kirana stores, and a lot of questions are being raised over there, right? At the end of the day, if I'm a small merchant and I have to pay any sort of charge, I may not even understand what that charge is. I may not even think about how small or large it is. I will just instinctively say, just give me cash. Please don't give me, this UPI. Now there are charges associated with it. Now, that is the main problem that we would be dealing with when it comes to communication. And it is counterproductive from an economic point of view, because the amount of revenue that you can actually generate from transactions less than 2,000 is minuscule. So again, the question becomes, when such a framework is being thought about, we should have a tiered framework where we only go for charges for the larger transactions if there is a certain, targeting that can be taken place in that sense.
Okay.
Now, answering your question very quickly, when credit cards like Visa or MasterCard, they are charging us 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever, on our transactions, they're also giving us points. They're giving us access to some sort of exclusive perks. They're giving us access to, say, a movie ticket discount or a theater discount, or, going to an airline lounge. What are we getting on UPI? At this point,
you're getting comfort, convenience with UPI?
Yes, that's about it. But you're not getting any perks. So therefore, you're not actually interested in paying for it. And I want to completely dismiss anything that Donald Trump is saying.
Okay.
Very openly, I want to say that the government of India has always maintained a very neutral stand on this. This is not what I contest.
Okay.
As an economist, my contest is only with the cost benefit of a proposed regime.
Okay.
But
Sanju,
not on this point.
Sanju wants to come in. Please respond, and also respond to the argument of the opposition that we are probably rewriting our UPI policies under American pressure.
I don't know what problem Imran has with me having studied abroad, but be that as it may, on a more serious note, I just want to say one thing very categorically. I always say the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And do you know something? And this is specifically for the Congress Darbari ecosystem. the one state
इतनी
which
अच्छी
uses
डिबेट हो रही
UPI.
है, आप ये कांग्रेस दरबारी इकोसिस्टम क्यों लेकर आती है? Sanju, I mean, you know, it's like a wonderful panel that we have today. It's a Friday evening.
Let me finish at least.
Chaliye, go ahead.
He made a comment at me. You were quiet. I'm just having a light-hearted banter on your show. Indulge me for a bit. Let me finish now my main point, because I think let's come to the heavy stuff on your shows. The fact of the matter is that the one state which has actually embraced UPI, not just adopted UPI, and has seen the highest UPI transactions for the last 3 years, month after month. Guess which state is that? It is Telangana. And the city I'm talking about is Hyderabad. Hyderabad's contribution to the UPI digital payment interface is the highest in India. So, matlab, Congress-run states have also given a thumbs up to the UPI interface system. But I will come to the moot point. I think UPI in India is a big success because of 4 things. A, before bringing in the digital infrastructure and a resilient back-end system, you know, the Modi government decided that we need to have smartphone penetration, which is today 117%. The Modi government decided we need to have a very high broadband penetration, which stands at 97%. And I think what works in favor of UPI is the rapid urbanization. And as many people on your show have said, sometimes it's not just about cost effectiveness. It's also about convenience. And do you know something, Hina?
But what about the Trump factor that you did not address?
Yes, the Trump factor is simply this, that whether Trump likes it or not, today the UPI has been adopted by Singapore, Mauritius, Nepal, UAE, Qatar, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, so on and so forth, which means there are international economies, including first world economies like Singapore, which have actually applauded the UPI. So like I said, you know, the fact that international economies are today taking to UPI lock, stock and barrel, that shows that this is something which is gaining universal acceptability. But my final point is only this. For those who want to know about cash versus UPI, let me just say one thing. You don't need to have an ATM card. You don't need to have a credit or debit card. And especially on a lighter note to Imran, you can withdraw cash also via UPI by simply scanning your QR code. I mean, look at the advantages.
Imran, now you also spoke about how a lot of these issues should have been discussed. And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has also responded on social media, because there is a war of words that's also underway between her and Jairam Ramesh of the Congress Party. And she has said a lot of points that the opposition is raising could have been discussed on the floor of the House if Congress engages constructively in Parliament when the bill is being tabled, because we are not seeing that happen too. There's too much of ruckus and chaos and bills are being passed in din. It impacts the people of this country. Then why talk about these issues on social media when on the right platforms the issues are not being raised?
Hinaji, when it comes to the discussion in the Parliament, I can cry foul for as long as I want. However, when it comes to a question impacting millions of Indian citizens, I cannot come and say, oh, you do not let us discuss. I mean, if you're passing it in this nature, a person like me would feel that there is something more to see than what is in plain, in plain eyesight. Today, my problem is that we are also confusing, and I'm going back to one of my predecessors who said that it is only a small transactions above 2,000 rupees is only very a small percentage. Now, there is a difference in number in terms of merchant payments versus transactional value. The transactional value is above 67% according to a report that I read. Now, you are confusing number of transactions versus value of transactions. So if you are trying to confuse the public by saying that, oh, it's only a very small, minuscule amount, it is not. In terms of transactions, if you're talking about 67%, that is a huge amount.
It is huge, I agree. But at the same time, as the Finance Minister has mentioned on record, that UPI and Services Steering Committee headed by NPCI is yet to decide on MDR, and that will happen after the Parliament passes Taxation and Other Laws Bill, which proposes to amend Section 10A and Payments and Settlement Systems Act 2007. So one, we do not really know how much that amount is going to be. What are the number of transactions we are looking at? Some reports suggested that It will not be for transactions below 2,000 rupees. So all those details, of course, are awaited. So we'll wait and see what happens. But for now, I'm completely out of time. It was wonderful to have all of you on the show this evening. Thank you for joining us.
Top of the world with Times Network. And you're watching Times Now.
In association with Suzuki.